in the town of Baton Rouge as the Lady Tigers are getting ready to go to the Sweet 16. I was going to wear my purple and gold, but I said, well, you know, that's not too professional.
That is your color.
That is my color. All right, good morning. Roll call, please.
Dr. Baker.
Here.
Ms. Shazal. Here. Ms. Gonzalo.
Here.
Mr. Hightower.
Here.
Dr. Houston. Present. Ms. LaRiviere.
Here.
Ms. Louise.
Here.
Ms. Patrick. Here. Sister Carol. Present. Dr. Williams.
Here.
We have a forum.
The gang's all here. Wonderful. At this time, we'd like to have our guests recognize our guests, so we'll start with this end.
Morning, everybody. Max Day, Office of School Choice.
Morning, Nikki Landry, LDOE Executive Director of Education Policy.
Thomas Rock, Superintendent, Diocese of Alexandria, Bessie Board.
Christy Ballou, LDOE Director of Recreation. Sarah Feske, Assistant Head at the School of Baton
Bernice Simpson, Interim Assistant Superintendent, Career and College Management, LDOE.
Each Mullen, Office of School Choice, Nonpublic Department.
Shawn Sanders, Office of School Choice, Nonpublic.
Megan Thompson, Office of School Choice, Director of Special Projects.
Chauncey McElwee, Office of Federal Programs.
Melanie Mayu, LDOE Office of Federal Programs.
What's the matter? You lost your voice?
I went to the doctor. I had a voice. I came from the doctor.
That's about right. That's about right.
Keep got more support.
Daphne Flimmer, Federal Support, State Ombudsman.
We're now good. Executive Director of Federal Support and Grantee Relations.
Great. Welcome to all of you. So now you should have received the minutes of the January 24th meeting, so I need a motion to approve the minutes. Mr. Hightower, Sister Carol, second. Okay, moving right along, our first item of our agenda, consideration of an update report regarding the emergency assistance for non-public schools, the EANS program. I need a motion to receive the report. Lisa Patrick, second, Raynell. Who's speaking to that today? Oh, who are you?
No,
Just cut it short.
I am. I'm gonna try.
We'll talk for you if you can't talk.
Thank you. All right, Jenkins, Federal Support. We just have a few updates for you for CURSA and for ARPANES, and of course, any information you may need after. I can make sure I'm gonna hang around and I can talk to you about it. So, we're just kind of giving you a summary of where things are. But please know for ARPANES, they are still in the process of procuring. OTS on the software side and the procurement team are still working to get those items taken care of. So there were 180 schools that participated in CURSA EANS, which you remember, that first round consisted of reimbursements and procurement. There were approximately 3,800 requests for software and non-software items. All of these requests have been, all of the reimbursements were completed and approved, and OTS has completed procurements of those future procurement requests. And as I understand it, LDOE has as well. The LDOE and OTS fulfilled all eligible for future procurement requests to the best of their abilities. So of course, you may have wanted Dell, but it may have been Ace. So it was just based upon what was available. And I know that you all were very, very flexible in understanding that, and we appreciate it. Notices of program closeout will be issued for all CURSA EANS participants in order to close out the program. So that is pretty much the process that they are in now, making sure that all of the information you've received, all of the items that you received are actually correct on our closeout documents, and then they'll be pushing that information out to the schools. If you need any information around CURSA EANS, you use the info at ldoe-eans.com for questions. Now, our second round, which we're still in, you remember reimbursement requests were not part of the second round. It was only procurements. 60 schools participated in ARPANES. There were about 5,000 requests for software and non-software items. 60 notices of allowable costs were issued. There were 20 appeals that were received. The program evaluated issued post-appeal notices of allowable costs for all appeals. LDOE and OTS are actively working to procure the approved future procurement requests. And what they would like you to do is, if you have any questions or comments, is that you go into the applicant portal and you make your comments there for procurement in progress. The email address is a little different that we want you to look at if you have questions. It's arcinfo@ldoeins.com. Mr. Cook, they are very close to finishing, I think, from maybe the last update you may have gotten from Belinda's team, yeah, on the procurement side.
Yes, so we communicated to Ed that we would wrap it up, hopefully by the end of March. And so that includes rather the technology side of OTS as well as within our internal controls, the regular procurement items and contracts and things of that nature. So that is the goal. We're following up with the team there because too much information, but once we get through all of that, if there is a balance of funds, it goes back to the governor for him to decide, governor / DOA, what they would like to do with the remaining funds.
Can we get a report on what was allowed to each school and then, or what was spent and what was spent and what was not?
So you mean for your schools in particular?
Yes.
If you put it in writing, we can probably work, because to me, that would be probably in those official end of closeout notices, since they're still procuring, but we may be able to give you something. Yeah, some idea for your schools. So if you shoot me an email, we can try to get you something.
And Dr. Houston, if I may ask you, I like to sometimes like to know that in goal to make sure we do what you have in mind.
Well, I have a few questions that I'm going to talk to y'all about after.
Okay. Okay.
I have a question about the same. So the start date, end date for some hours may be similar, so that I can budget for the software renewals if I will be responsible for those going forward. I would like to know when they started, when they end, when they plan to end those, so that we can budget for them. And they're all different based on the LDOE's goal. Right.
And that's a OTS question. We
So
would
we
have to
need to
get
email them.
clarity from, yeah.
Okay.
I think you would definitely be able to get it from them,
Okay.
because they were the side who was doing the procurement on the software.
Okay.
All right, the proof of receipt. So for Cursor, it was pretty much the same process, and there was a level of success in getting that information. As soon as the schools received a delivery for program procured items, the program will need immediate proof of receipt for the purchase to be uploaded in the applicant portal. Delivery receipts are required by LDOE and OTS to process invoices. So we have to make sure that the items have gotten to the schools, that they have receipt of it before LDOE can pay for those items. So that's very important. The process of providing proof of receipts has been outlined in the ARP-EANS proof of receipt FAQ, uploaded to the FSGR library. And if you have any questions about the process, you can email the ARP-EANS email address and they'll be able to get you the information. Any questions? And again, we'll be around to talk after if we have specific issues that we need to address. Thank you for tolerating my voice.
Thank you so much. Any further discussion? Any on this evening? Okay, moving on to 4.2. I'm sorry. I'll jump the gun. 4.1, update on non-public schools classification. I need a motion to receive a report. Kimberly, second, Dr. Baker. It's yours.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, this morning I'm going to give you a brief update about non-public schools seeking state approval application update. Okay, non-public schools seeking BESI approval are required to annually apply each fall for approval for the following year. Applicants for the 2023-24 school year, that information was due on October 7th via a job form submission. Of the 371 total applicants received, 290 completed their information for the December 22 Bessie meeting. Additionally, schools will be added and presented in a final list at the April 2023 Bessie meeting. Okay, so right now, this list, this 2023-24 non-public academic classification report, it leads to the establishment and publication of the non-public schools approval. Historically, this has been an issue receiving this information from all of our non-public schools. Last year, this list was established in April. We will take the final round of schools, as I stated earlier, to Bessie in April. This list shows all of the Broomfield versus Dodd and our Bessie approved schools. So it's very important for all of our non-public schools to submit this information in a very timely manner so that we can get this list out of our office and published on the website in a timely manner. Do we have any questions?
We have a lot of issues this year with the technology with the form. Then we had issues getting the fire marshal out, we had fire inspections because with COVID, they weren't, anyway, I don't know, whatever. But we had to get the governor's office involved to get the fire inspections. Just, it was really frustrating, and it's really unfair to the schools that they're being penalized for something that's not their fault. I mean, they're reaching out to the entities that are to provide these inspections, and
Right.
they're not receiving any response. So I just want to express for the record that one, we had issues with the form, and two, we had issues with the inspecting agencies.
Yes, and that's something that we've definitely taken into consideration because I know in the past that fire marshal's report has always been a big deal, and that's something that we have not been able to control in our office. And I know once COVID hit, it pushed everything back even further. So we have been trying to take that into consideration to make sure that we take into account that may be happening with some of the schools.
Really work with us, with our office, and with our schools, and we are most appreciative. But if there's anything we can do to make this process better,
Okay.
please let us know. And then who else needs to be involved in that conversation?
Okay, most definitely.
I'll piggyback on that, but a few of our issues were that the schools were sending in the correction or whatever, and then for some reason it wasn't getting to the right desk or computer, so that when they notified me and then I emailed, I got instant gratification. And I know that, you cover a lot of schools, but it is frustrating because then they're thinking they're not approved.
Right.
So, I don't know if it's the form or what it is, but, and maybe the kinks can be worked out.
Yes, and that's something that we are working toward, making sure that all that is worked out. I knew that a lot of people, it was just difficult last year, so we are working toward getting that resolved. Max, is there anything you'd like to add on that?
Sorry, I do want to thank the team. This has been, I don't want to say a struggle, but it has been a hurdle every year. And I think that there are plenty new methods, our certified mail this year, like to make sure that we're trying different avenues to get to a more full list. Completely acknowledge the issues with Headley that came along with rolling that out. The fire marshal, I mean, we run into that also with our charter schools in the past. We've been able to grant approval with a letter or something, right? Our guidance has changed. So like we're not able to do that any longer. We're looking at ways that we can bring this list to Bessie in a way that allows us to kind of give conditional approval so that we don't have to keep bringing this back for approval, that have to get those requirements that you guys are good, you have a list, you can update it on the website.
I know for me in the past, we had a way that we could log in with a former employee, Joe Rockland, he had access to all of our schools, and he could go in and input information and make corrections. The schools would try, and they weren't successful in doing it. But Michael Burris is the person doing it now, and according to him, I don't think he spoke to probably everybody in the nonprofit side and on the technology side. Edwin doesn't have the capability of doing that, of allowing us to see all of our schools and our diocese. And we can't manage 70 logins, one for each individual school. So if there is anything that you can do to work with Edwin to provide the option for us to do that as a diocese, again, with 70+ schools, it's really say, fix it, fix it, fix it.
Right.
And we can't fix it. So it's just been really frustrating for everybody.
I mean, that's certainly frustrating, but let's see what we can do.
Right.
Not programmers or developers, but we
Right.
can give the feedback and for something about.
And I think he did speak to somebody on the technology side that is working with that. And they're gonna try to solve the issue, but I wanted to say in the public forum,
We will.
if it can come.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Any further discussion? Any opposition? Okay, now 4.2, scholarship program with school choice. So. Who's presenting? You're gonna do it? I'm sorry. So I need a motion to receive the report. Sister Carol, second. Renell.
Okay, all right, so we're gonna move into our scholarship application update. As y'all know, site registration begins at our scholarship schools for the 2023-24 school year on April 24th, 2023. Scholarship award letters will be sent to all parents that same day, April 24th. And we will also be sending out emails of the letter, of the acceptance letter or denied letter or waitlist letter, whatever it is, but a parent will receive some form of communication on April 24th. The final date for parents to register at our scholarship schools will be May the 26th. Final date for scholarship schools to register families for that school year will also be on May 26th. Final date for families to decline scholarship awards is also going to be on that May 26th. Everything's kind of running together, so we keep everything on a proper timeline. The summer transfer window will open on June 12th, and then the summer transfer window will close on July the 18th. The total number of applications that we have for the 2023-24 school year is 8,216. The number of schools that submitted a notice of intent was 136 schools, and the number of new seat applications that we received was 2,689. So next we're going to move on into our school choice program for students with exceptionalities. The application opened on February 1st. The application closed for all applicants on March the 6th. Schools will be notified of all awards on May 1st, and parents will receive notification letters as well on May 1st. They also will be receiving something via email of their letter virtually so that they will be able to see it and also have a paper copy.
Deidre, when do they have to let y'all know if they accept the award or decline? Because some of those families also apply for TDC.
Mm-hmm.
And if they get TDC, they take that because it's more than school choice award.
Mm-hmm.
So when is the deadline for school choice, for exceptionalities for parents to decline or accept the award?
I think that was May 20, I think that was April 20.
By the end of it. I think it's the end of that.
Okay. Okay, so May
It's on our
31st.
annual
If
calendar.
everything
Mhm.
goes
It's on the
right
calendar, I just don't
first
have
of
it.
May, I would,
It's the end of May.
it's the end of May.
I think it's the end of May.
We can get you
Yeah.
It's on our
Well,
calendar, on our.
that we sent out already, but we'll make sure, we'll send it back out today,
Okay.
just to make sure that, everybody have the dates that's needed. We'll make sure. Okay, next let's go into our quarterly reports. We have our quarterly reports must be submitted via the Leeds portal, and all of our schools already know this. We ask them to please, the deadline to, check their username and passcode to make sure that they are not locked is by the end of April, so that they can make sure that we can get them unlocked and they are ready to submit this information. It is very important that this information is submitted on time and within those dates of May 1st through May 3rd. And that's for both of our programs. That's for the Louisiana School Choice Program, Louisiana Scholarship Program, and for our School Choice Program. Those dates are the same. So they need to make sure, all schools need to make sure they can log in, because if not, that holds everything up and they're not able to meet that deadline. Let me back up 1 minute. I just want to make sure that I make note that schools have 30 days from the last day of quarterly enrollment reporting to submit any enrollment changes. If that's not submitted on time, they will not get paid until the end of Q4, and that will be sometime in June. So it's very important to make sure that they get this information submitted on time, because it's not a quick turnaround for the finances.
Say that again, 30 days from?
30 days from the last day that they report. Like they have May 1st through the 3rd, they have 30 days to get that information in. If it's after that 30 days, they probably will not get paid until sometime June or July to be in the summertime. So they have to make sure they get this information in on time. Okay, next, when we submitted the information for this slide, we had our non-public webinar that we had scheduled, so now it's a difference. So if you will please take note, our next non-public webinar is April the 19th at 2 p.m. During that webinar, we will be discussing, for the Louisiana Scholarship Program, we will be discussing the award notifications, and we will be discussing site registration for that program. So keep in mind, the next webinar is April 19th at 2 p.m. For the SCP part of our program, we will be discussing the award notifications for that program as well. So it's very imperative that that someone from each school is represented on our calls each month, because we give out some very important and helpful information that they can have at their fingertips, and at that time they can ask any questions that they possibly need in order so that we can provide a point of clarification if needed. So as you all know, we are here to assist. So if there's anything that our office can do, please feel free to reach out to us and just let us know. Any further questions for me?
The Zoom call this week, the person coordinating had a question about it. It said security grant. Those for the people schools with, Mary sends that, have somebody on the call. Okay. It just said everybody who is in the scholarship program should have somebody on the call.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I can speak to that.
Okay.
Glad I was here. Good morning, Ernest Singleton. You're talking about this, the non-NSSG something security grant.
Yeah. So the Office of State Police and GOSEP gets these grants from the federal government. And those non-public security, that's what it is, among this task force that but they get these grants from the federal government. And so with that particular grant, that is geared toward non-publics and non-profit entities who meet certain criteria. And so if you attend the webinar, you can learn more about it. And they did indicate that a lot of the Catholic dioceses, the non-public schools, may qualify. It's not a lot of money, but it's some money that can help with security. And they have all parameters that outline out as far as what the money can be utilized for. We got the information like on a Thursday, and they had 2 webinars, and I got it on a Thursday, I was like, what this is. And then on Monday, I was like, oh, this is what this is, when I went to a meeting, and that webinar was the next day. So then we didn't send that out because it was such a last minute notice when we learned about what it was. So this one is more information, and I think the deadline to apply is sometime in April if you want to apply for the funding. But it goes through GOSEP, Governor's Office of Homeland Security.
Okay, so the money is granted to GOSEP, and then GOSEP grants the money to us. So
Correct.
we're not in direct receipt of federal funding.
Correct. It is through that entity. They have their own like EGMS system that you would apply to it from them.
Okay, perfect.
That's the most I know about it because I have a webinar on my calendar too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that's the 19th? The one you-
Thursday.
Oh, this is Thursday.
It's Thursday.
Thursday. This week.
Do we have a link to that? Yes.
We do?
You should. Which I. If not, we can definitely get it to you because I have it on my calendar.
Thursday?
Thursday.
Wait.
So we owe you guys SCP.
Yes, it's at 1
notification
o'clock.
date, and we also owe you this.
Yeah.
Can you get you guys that?
Please.
So send it to you, Max?
Yeah. Or a copy.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get it
I'll
out.
do it right then.
Thank you.
Actually, am I doing this?
Okay, any further discussion? Any opposition? Okay, you want to do our 5.1? Okay, 5.1, handbook for non-public school administrators regarding bullying. I need a motion to receive the report. Lisa Patrick. Kathy Moise, second.
back up, the policy language has been distributed, so what's in your packet is old, is the sheet that's.
The one sheet that we passed out. Does everybody have it? Yeah.
All right, I stay over here.
Yeah.
Ernie Singleton, Interim Assistant Superintendent, Career and College Readiness. You need one?
Yeah, I'll get one.
Go.
You're welcome. So, last legislative session at 697 updated the bullying policy for public and non-public schools. And that information was actually updated in Bulletin 741 non-public in October. Unfortunately, that information did not come to you all before it was updated, and that was an error on the department's part. After that occurred, me, looking at the policy, I was like, this is not right. Something's not right here. They can't do all that stuff. So therefore, this is coming to you all today to review the policy, because we realized that a lot of the text that was in the Bulletin 741 that we updated in October of 2022 was not accurate. So what you see now is the updated policy language that we would like to take to Bessie to approve next month. And it repeals a lot of the text that we submitted in October, and it just kind of streamlines it and indicates that non-public schools should follow the policy as outlined in Bulletin 741, because that was the law, that is what the law stated. So we didn't change that part. But there are some parts of this law requiring some reporting to the departments. And so one part is under the failure to act, which is letter G. And I'm going to allow you to read number 2. So what that is saying is, if a report of bullying is submitted to the school, to an administrator, a counselor, a teacher, or anybody, and that person does not act on that bullying issue, that information should be reported to the Department of Education. The Department of Education then in turn informs the school system or the school entity that this bullying report was reported and no one acted on it. That is our task. That is all that we are to do. Now, bullying reporting is confidential, so we do not know the bullying incident. And so that's what the failure to act is. At the end of the academic year, by August 1st, every school, every non-public school should report to the department all of the instances of bullying that occurred the previous academic year. We have to in turn report that information to Bessie. So that is what number 3 is stating. And again, this is coming straight from this Act 697. This is not information that we as the department came up with. We are trying to follow the letter of the law. And we realize that a lot of this is very subjective, because failure to act is different from person A to person B to person C. We get a lot of this information already, and a lot of times what is happening is they want for us to do something, and honestly, we can't because it is confidential. So we are trying our best to follow what is stated in Act 697 with this particular policy. I see a question over here somewhere. Yes.
Yeah, just a quick clarification. Something you said that quite matched what I was thinking. A report each year of the number of incidents of failure to report bullying, not all of the bullying incidents.
Failure to report, yes. And again, that's subjective.
Right. I got you. But, yeah.
Failure to report to LDOE?
No, but an employee.
No, if an employee, if someone reports bullying so a kid reports bullying to the counselor,
Okay.
the counselor does not do anything about it. So then the parent may say, my child reported this bullying, and the counselor didn't do anything. So that's a failure to act and a failure to report on that bullying incident.
Through the principal.
Or to whomever, yes. Yes.
So what if the counselor is the one that acts on that report from the student, but the counselor does not report to a higher authority because the incident is addressed? The school can just decide that that's acting appropriately?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the school can decide it's acting appropriate. If the parent doesn't believe that, so then they report. That will happen, that may happen.
And then who decides from there what's a report or what's not a report? That's the subjectivity. How do you?
There's no follow-up.
Can't be enforced. Can't be enforced.
That's just that phrase. I mean, I don't know. I'm struggling also, so I'm doing my best.
Doing great.
Let's hope, let's
So
hope
this was
parents
passed,
don't see that.
and this is supposed to go into effect August 1st.
Yes.
But it's already.
Well, it's already in effect.
It's already,
It's already.
Because technically, they wanted it in August of last year, but we got it in June, so we, yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna have to take this back to one, our attorney, and two, our safe environment coordinator.
I don't think this is gonna be ready to go to bed.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not,
so there has to be.
I think we need further discussion with
With our
people.
Okay.
I can't say anything, I can't, I don't have the authority to say yes.
Okay. Okay.
I have to put this forward.
And we already have something in policy now.
We do.
You do have something in policy, yes,
It's just a change.
yes,
The reporting.
yes.
So do we need a motion to,
I mean,
so we can do?
Well, if I'm understanding correctly, what we have currently right now is more restrictive, correct?
Correct.
Just we kind of want.
Correct, you were not, what you have, what's in policy now is more restrictive, requires a lot more information that we want to take out.
Right.
This limits it
So
somewhat.
everything that has a striking through is what you are asking to take out.
Correct.
And
It's there, it's
It's
there.
already there.
It was added in October of 2022.
So can I ask?
Yes.
The 4 hours for new employees and 2 hours annually, for training, is that in addition to the suicide training that we are required to do?
Yes.
Okay, that's,
And is that part of our professional development, the only few hours we count for part services?
I do not know the answer to that.
Well, it's a fair
Who is-
question. Those are finance persons.
Ask the question again, we may have to get an answer back to you. Can you ask the question
Yeah,
again?
the question is, with required services, we're only limited to so few hours that we can put on required services and claim. Now we're adding this, is there going to be a modification of the hours?
We have the question, I don't have the answer.
Okay. You'll follow up on that?
Yes.
Next. And then also pertaining to the training, it says it shall specifically include the following. Can we go to the current policy right now? Is there specific requirements for that training that are listed? Or has that been repealed and it's just a general training? We use the JSON project.
The process for reporting and appeals, the procedures for investigating reports of bullying.
Where it says like up under B,
C3.
The training shall be.
the training shall be 4 hours, blah, 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 and shall specifically include the following.
Oh, that is already in policy.
Okay, all right.
And if you see the word repealed right there and then letters next to it, all of that's being taken out too. But instead of having to put a strike through on all of those.
Got it, okay.
Thank you.
D through F,
D.
Can we, when is the Bessie meeting for April?
18th and 19th.
I mean, we already have something, it's just a matter of the reporting.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Any further discussion? The opposition? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, now we're moving to certification 5.2. Christie? You look spiffy today. I bet things are improving in that office. We hope so. I think they are.
We're trying.
I think they are. Oh. And Effie's just smiling away. Oh, sorry, we got carried away. Motion to receive the report, Lisa, second. Dr. Baker? Oh, well. Okay. Who's got the slide?
Are they in your packet?
Yeah.
Yeah, then we got it in the
Okay.
packet.
I know I sent them over.
No, we don't? Oh, that's not it? Never mind. I'm sorry. Go ahead, just give us the good news.
So do y'all have the backup policy to look at too?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So, we have been working on this since the fall of last year. And, we are ready to bring some of the proposed, policy updates that you all requested, specific to non-public schools. So some of those updates are, some technical edits, around the asterisk certificate language alignment. There's some old language, indicating, need to be evaluated by a principal under these particular topics. And so we're getting rid of some of that language. We're trying to align everything there. We're also addressing lifetime certificate reinstatement policy. Currently, the policy to reinstate any sort of lifetime certificate, whether it be a standard A or B or an A or B asterisk certificate, requires 6 semester hours of coursework. And that harkens back to like No Child Left Behind. If you're getting back into the classroom, taking another 6 hours is just kind of burdensome on the teacher. And since in 2010, 2012, we went to effectiveness as kind of the gold standard for determining whether a teacher is, it's appropriate for them to be in the classroom, we decided to update the reinstatement policy to kind of align with that. So what we're planning to do is we would reinstate for a year, and during that year, they would need to be found effective. If they're in the public school, they would be evaluated via Compass. If they're in the non-public system, they would be evaluated via your local personnel evaluations. And so we're trying to make it simpler for everyone and kind of align it to everything else that's in policy as well. The exciting part is we are actually creating some asterisk certificates that you asked for. There are some ancillary teaching areas that many of you said that you would like to be able to utilize, but because they're a teaching certificate and they're required by law to be evaluated via Compass, your educators can't really use those. So we are creating the asterisk certificates for the ancillary or talented artists, and that includes music, theater, drama, and so on and so forth. All those areas there. Also math for professionals, the dyslexia therapist and practitioner, the school counselor, school librarian. Those are for educators that did not complete a teacher preparation program per se, but they may have completed a counselor preparation program or a librarian program, so they don't have a teaching certificate with that endorsement. So these are those standalone certificates, but also for the JROTC and the Family and Consumer Sciences. What we've done is we've tried to consolidate the language in the policy and put like a generic statement at the top of that section to where it creates the asterisk certificate, and it also speaks to the renewal for all of those certificates. Basically, it's saying that if you're in the non-public setting, we can use local personnel evaluations to evaluate these teachers that have the asterisk certificate. If you're in the public setting, we're going to evaluate you via Compass. It will still be a separate certificate currently because law requires that right now. I'll talk about that in just a minute. But we are trying to make sure that your educators can have the certification that you desire for them. The other big change is that Ed Leader Level 2 asterisk certificate. So right now, policy does not have a way for a person holding an EDL to be evaluated in the non-public setting if they're at a school level. And so it kind of prevents them from advancing to a higher level certificate. So we're creating that EDL2 asterisk, and we're providing the option for local personnel evaluations for the issuance of that certificate. We're also including that EDL2 asterisk as an eligibility option for someone wanting to have the EDL3. Since the EDL3 is specific to assistant superintendent and superintendent, there's no need to create a separate EDL3 certificate because that certificate can only be evaluated via local personnel evaluations anyhow. They are not evaluated via Compass, so we figured that there was no need to create that EDL3 asterisk certificate. We're also updating our out-of-state policy. Our out-of-state principal Policy, we're allowing that to have renewal based on local personnel evaluations as well. We tried to scour the bulletin and find any place that it could be applicable to non-publics and put a statement in there that would allow them to be evaluated via local personnel evaluations.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Can you define EDL1 versus EDL2, please?
So for certification purposes, there's no difference in how they can serve. The EDL1 is just kind of the introductory leadership certificate. After they have served for 3 years on that EDL1 and been found effective, now they can go to that EDL2. And now that asterisk is what we're creating. That just kind of shows that they're a more experienced educator. Some school systems have, put in their requirements like school system level. They want them to have an EDL2 before they enter into that position, but that is not a certification requirement. There's no difference in what they can serve. They can serve in any leadership position at the school or district level, with the exception of assistant superintendent or superintendent.
So did you say 3 years or 5 years for EDL2?
3. It's similar to our level 1 to level 2 teaching certificate. Any other questions there on that policy?
It's gonna be a big help.
We hope so. We really hope so. The other thing I want to provide to you is we are working with our legislators across the street. Of course, you know how that goes with the legislative session. It all depends on what happens between now and the end of the session. But we are trying to remove the language in law that says that they have to have a separate certificate, basically, the reason for these asterisk certificates. And so we're also trying to insert some language in the evaluation piece that would allow for what I'll call the mixing of evaluations. If I'm serving in a non-public 1 year, I can do local. If I'm serving in a public the next year, we can look at your compass. Right now, all of that's prohibited in law, and so we're trying to put those two things in place. If that passes, this will be null and void, and we will have to undo what we're doing. But we don't know what's going to happen, and so since y'all asked for these, we're moving forward with that to get that process at least going on the NOI process. So we're hoping.
Thank you.
Quite well. Any other questions?
Just wanna say thank you.
In response to the potential legislation, either August or October, so we'll try to provide that to you at the non-public school council meeting in relation to that timeline.
Great.
If you give me those slides, I'll update board docs and send y'all the link.
Any further discussion? Any opposition? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our last 5.3, Ms. Daphne. Need a motion to receive the report. Mr. Carroll? Come on, y'all. Dr. Baker?
Good morning.
Morning.
It's great to see everyone.
If you notice, I didn't say you had 5 minutes.
Yes, I noticed that. Thank you.
I'm being nice.
All right, here we go. This is the Ombudsman update for March. First of all, thank you all so much for working with the LEAs in sharing ideas and information on helping to expand the 2021 and 21-22 carryover. Update on the work groups that are working with this. This is a group of LEAs, and they are taking the charge to assist with this. They met, and they have co-chairs, and they are reaching out to the other LEAs in the north and southern regions that may have non-public carryover to discuss how they're going to do it. They've developed a listserv, and on that listserv, the LEA can go in and state, yes, they do have carryover for those years, and also whether they will work with you all as an LEA non-public, meaning within their boundaries to do it, or would they like to do cross-collaboration? I have shared with them, several of you have asked about doing cross-collaboration with professional development, and they are all for it. So they will continue to contact the non-public schools that have the carryover and reach out to you as stated to get additional feedback and input. We are encouraging, the work group is encouraging the non-public schools to continue to provide suggestions because it's not over until, as we say, it is over. And so we want you to definitely have a hand in that. Many of them are doing consultations right now, and you know we're getting ready for consultations for 23-24. So we are, the state office is going to provide us with that classification list that they use. And so, just in case you have any schools that are new, you might want to alert your LEAs about that. Also, please know that LEA's participation in this is voluntary. It is not a mandate from the LDOE. Again, thanking you guys for everything that you have been doing to assist also with strategies and professional development aligned also with the Title IV guidance. You've had some really great ideas, and some of them we've kind of combined different professional development sessions that have been suggested, and the LEAs are taking it full-heartedly and definitely appreciate it as well.
Daphne, can I ask
Yes.
a question? So I heard through the grapevine there's been additional funding for Title IV. Is that true? And if so, when will that be shared with the schools?
That is a different grant, and it's called A Strong Connection. It's not directly Title IV in line of the Title IV that we have for federal programs with the EGMS application. This is a separate program. There was a webinar on it. Some of you probably participated in it. We can send you a slide deck from that program, and from there you'll get all the basic information. And if you have any questions once you get it, then there is of course, an email address to send your questions to. But your LEAs have already started reaching out to you in reference to that as well,
So that
as
will
I
funnel
understand.
from the LEAs to our schools?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Again, anyone that needs that webinar, as a matter of fact, I'll just send it to everyone, because I do know some of you participated. Not a problem at all. Just a couple of reminders. Please know that anyone that has 2021 or 21-22 carryover, that has to be expended prior to using the 22-23 allocations. Again, we are really cautioning everyone to try to follow this process. We call it FIFO, first in, first out, to follow using it, and you've heard this many times, especially when we've had our meetings, because this helps. But what it also can do is, let's just say some allocations that you have from 21-22, and maybe you need a little bit more, then that's okay to go into the allocation from 22-23. And the LEAs understand this very well and can express it. Also, here I am talking to the choir. There are some other non-public schools that I do have to be very specific with this. But keeping in mind that the Title I non-public allocation is for the LEA Title I program that they design and implement to help your students who need the services. And if it's any carryover there, they've been talking with me, and we've been coming up with ideas and suggestions, and whatever they're saying thus far, everything is allowed, but it's okay if it's going to support the academic strategies or there are additional materials, supplies, equipment that they need to help address our students who are in the program. Because overall, it is to address academic needs, and we want to create a learning environment that is not only invigorating, but also conducive to learning and meeting the needs of the children. This chart gives you a glimpse of what's happening regarding the carryover. At this point, any carryover from the 2020 session is gone. Also, we're looking at now the 21-22, and the reason we still have it is because we had a waiver which extended the time frame, which is why It did not expire in '22. And as you can see, these are the other dates that I just explained. So 2023, October 24th. But what is our goal? And we won't have carryover for 2023. Let's continue to work on it and make sure that we can meet those obligations. Again, as always, thank you for your leadership. Any questions?
Thank you, Daphne. Any further discussion? Any opposition?
Thank you.
Our next meeting is July the 18th. And thanks to all the members of the department who have worked very tirelessly with us. We appreciate all that you do for us. I know sometimes we're a thorn in your side, but, you know, sometimes we just need your voice. For those of us in the school system, we have roughly 11 weeks of school left. And then this school year will be history, and then we start all over again. So, good luck to everyone, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Go Lady Tigers.